most possible. Here are my boundaries. I understand where they are, and I do apologize. But thank you for your graciousness. And again, thank you for having me. I said last time, I preach in a very candid manner, and I'm not going to change that. However, I'm thankful to be invited back. And sometimes it may or may not be that way with the way that I like to speak. Of course, these are not my opinions. My opinions are worth very little to nothing. But I do have some things in here from the Word that I think that we can use to become better for ourselves, society, community, church, family, etc. What I like about the Bible, one of the many things, is if you were to listen and obey what it says, it is a guarantee for another level of success in your life. Do you think of yourself? It's okay if you don't. I'm not going to call you out. Who thinks that they're a pretty motivated person in general? Who feels like they kind of struggle with motivation? You still have tons of talents, but you struggle getting that motivation up. I like to be measured by a metric of growth, success, or progress, whatever that may look like. And I like seeing how God gives us these instructions. You can call them rules, instructions, guidance, whatever you want to call it. But when we are finished, there's always growth. You never have to look back and think, I didn't really improve any after being obedient to the Word. There's always a tangible level of growth. And if you are investing in your spiritual stock market, you might have these ups and downs, but you're always going to zoom out and see this bar graph that's always growing and growing the more we submit and obey and learn. There's some instructions. These are just freebies. I only have a couple points. I am no longer in seminary. I don't have to have a bunch of points. They don't have to be alliterated. I have a quick challenge for you. But here's a freebie before we get started. When we are obedient to Christ and we grow that way, we should be praying for wisdom, because how do you get wisdom if it is not from the Lord? The Bible talks about the worldly wisdom is dangerous, devilish. I'm paraphrasing. It's devilish, dangerous, evil. It is not for the it's not productive for the life of a believer. So where else are we supposed to learn? To read and to pray with faith that we will get that wisdom, and He will give it liberally to us. He will give it without holding back. So as we strive to improve, if I don't get you guys at least a blueprint to improvement, there is no point in having me here. We should just dismiss you and let you get to your Sunday afternoon and rest and eat some food or barbecue or whatever you like to do after Sundays. I want to get you some growth, and the only way to do that is from God's Word. So we're going to start with Galatians 6:10. It is my favorite Bible verse. I don't have a lot of favorites, but it is my favorite Bible verse. It says, "As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith." Do you guys know what nepotism means? You recognize what okay. A lot of celebrities, they have like nepo babies. Like, oh, they had a child, and of course they're famous again, or they have a career right in front of them. Do you think that nepotism is wrong in general? I don't. And I'm going to explain to you why. And actually, the truth of some sort of nepotism and why I don't think it's horrible all the time is when I was 13, I was asked to be a game show host for my church's vacation Bible school. And boy, I loved every minute of it. I got to ask questions. I got to act like Ryan Seacrest and Steve Harvey. I was ready for this game show. And I remember I picked from the crowd who got to come up and be the contestant. And they were just random kids from the crowd. And my little brother, and his best friend were there. And I said, who wants to come and be contestants? We need 3. And everyone raised their hand. And I picked a random person. And I picked my brother and his best friend. And as they're walking up, one of the kids said, "You're just picking him because he's your little brother." You know what I said? I said, "You're absolutely right. Why would I not give him priority? I love him. I care about him. I look out for him. And he is a volunteer. Of course I'm going to pick him. I like him better than I like you." I didn't say that, but I did. I was not ashamed to give privilege to someone in my family. Why wouldn't I? Imagine going home that evening if I had excluded him because of anti-nepotism. Why? I don't want to be seen choosing the people that I love. So I just couldn't pick you. You suffered because of it. I believe the Lord has special favor on His children, does He not? He wants us all to be His children, but I believe He gives special favor, and I'm so thankful for it. And He even says you should do the same thing. But He clarifies with be good to everybody. Every opportunity you have, do something good for them. If we were to sit and analyze the opportunities we have, they're pretty vast, are they not? I mean, we have opportunity that we have within ourselves to almost create. You can make opportunity. Don't wait for it to fall into your lap, although it's a blessing when it does. But He says, especially unto them of the household of faith. Do you remember the context or just the storyline of the book of Acts, one of my favorite books of the Bible. It was the origin of church as we know it today. There's always been a picture, I believe, of church, temple, tabernacle, worship, the Holy of Holies, all throughout the Old Testament, including the garden when they communed with the Lord directly. But it transitioned into this beautiful modern day church establishment where they met in homes. They were so anxious to meet. They didn't just meet in the tabernacle. They met in homes, what looked like every single day. And they gave all things common. Everything that was needed in that building was fulfilled by somebody. One person might have had a little bit of extra money, so they gave it. They put it on the table or distributed it however they wanted to. One person had a little extra food. One person had extra raiment or clothes. They gave because the household of faith should not be hungry. So my question is, why are we, and I'm going to be candid, but I'm including myself in all of this. I have to study for this. I have to make this sermon. You think the conviction, the sweat I go through reading, this is me. I am guilty. Why are we starving the people? And this is not, believe it or not, this is not Stewardship Sunday. I'm not asking for extra money. I'm not asking to fund the church project or to fund my ministry. I'm simply saying, why are we starving the Christian body of what they need, which is often not money. Often it is time. It's communion. It is fellowship. It is someone caring enough about them outside of a Sunday or Wednesday to take them somewhere and ask them unselfishly with no agenda, how are you? What do you need? And I mean, what do you need? Not like you need stress relief or you need a vacation. What do you need? What need can I fulfill? Take a minute and think about it and tell me, and I will commit myself. If it is possible, I will do it for you. And here's another challenge. Ready? Let's pick someone within the body. Maybe not just this room. This room looks like it's full of friendly people, but the body of Christ is big. Pick someone you don't like and do it. Because I don't think it excluded, let me just make sure I'm reading this correctly, especially unto them who are the household of faith. Yeah, it doesn't say the ones that you like. And I will tell you, the household of faith is vast, and everyone's got a little bit of different opinions going on or a different aura to them. We're supposed to be good to everyone, especially those of the household of faith. I recently was married in April 27th of this year to my beautiful wife, Sarah. She's here today supporting. And she's heard so many of my examples so many times, so she's so gracious to hear them again and again and again. But one of the things we got to do on the first chapter of our honeymoon is we went to Miami, and we went to Zoo Miami. It's so cool that it's not called the Miami Zoo. It's called Zoo Miami. That's how cool they are. We went to this Zoo Miami, and astounded by the free parking. They got you at the door, but it was great. One thing we've spent a little extra money on is getting this little cart, like a surrey of some sort. So my mom used to call them when we were kids. And this little 4-person cart, the zoo, apparently it's one of the biggest zoos in Florida. And you can like cart your way through all the exhibits by pedaling. I mean, it wasn't electronic, but that was fine. We like to cycle. So we were carting through the zoo, and it was like a drive-through zoo experience. Only the animals didn't come and like eat your steering wheel. They were behind gates. But we got to drive around and see the animals. And one thing I noticed was, well, 2 things I noticed. The first one is the exhibits that didn't catch our interest, we just kind of scooted away from. Like, you can't really see them. It was hot outside. A lot of the animals were hiding. Well, I don't like the way the animal looks. It's kind of ugly. We're just going to kind of circle around this vast, several acres, if not a mile or two, zoo. We do that to people. Everyone in here has been guilty of doing that. We treat people like a drive-through zoo. Like, let me see how you act. Oh, I like you, so I'm going to be a really good person to you and be extra friendly. Oh, I do not like that animal is not doing what I want it to do. He's not visible. He looks a little ugly. He's strange. I don't recognize his name. I'm going to move on to the next one. The person at the counter is not as nice as I wish they were. So, I mean, they're not going to get the goodness of my presence. And then I noticed another thing was the animals. I want to say this in a way that's very respectful, but for some reason, the animals were not showing their best side, should I say. You roll up on an exhibit, and that's not the side of the animal you wanted to see. And this is so fun. We saw so many backsides of animals at the zoo. We want to just get out of there and see the nicer animals that are more presentable. People know how to show you the wrong side of themselves, and oftentimes they do. But you are not to treat them differently, even though they might deserve it. I'm with you. They deserve it. Not to treat them differently as your character should not change on a spectrum because they might not be showing their best selves. So although I don't carry any guilt by ignoring the camels that weren't out, but paying attention to the zebras, which I love, I carry some guilt and conviction that we have a meter. Do we like the person? Do we not like the person? I'm extra generous to the people that are fun to be generous to or really thankful, but I'm also generous to the ones that aren't so grateful. it's just so messed up. And I think that if we can spark a revival in every single little, medium, big church in the world, it will undoubtedly spark a revival everywhere else. Because I don't depend on the people way out there to bring society to the right space, but I do depend on the people in here. And secondary to that, as much as I love and know some of you and trust some of you, at the end of the day, who can I control? No one but myself. So why don't I step up to the plate and take the responsibility I can take to bettering and enhancing this world around me? But if I was not alone in doing that, the spread and the ripple would be incredible. Doing good to all men, especially those of the household of faith. Matthew 5, talking verse 46, we're going to start, says, "For if ye love them which love you," that's easy, "what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans the same? And if ye salute your brethren only, what do ye more than others? Do not even the publicans so?" Now, again, I love how Jesus speaks. Undoubtedly, I believe there were publicans in the presence of this message sermon he was giving, and he's just calling them out right where they are. Wouldn't you hate that if I did that? Like, look at this person like this. Aaron always does this. Or my friend always does this. That'd just be such an interesting thing to say. I'm not righteous enough to make that kind of call. But Jesus was, and he said, these publicans out here, they always do this. Are ye saying you're better than them because you greet the people that you like? There's really no sacrifice in giving what you're getting. I think it's time we realize something that is hard to swallow, but it is, I am not that special because I'm good to my circle. How do I treat other people? I'm going to give you 2 practical ways to do it, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Maybe 3 if I'm feeling generous. Number 1, make people a priority. How do they feel? What are they thinking? What do they want to talk about? What can you read in between the lines to see what they need for healing, or to feel complete, or to feel like you love and care about them? It is so difficult in a world that forces you to be selfish by constantly sending you bills in the mail and constantly advertising to you things that you speak about that the cloud hears. They're constantly making life about you, because that's how you make money. You make life about somebody else so that they'll give you the money. These advertisers kind of sort of care more about you than you do about others. Wait for it, and it sounds weird, because they at least realize I've got to put them in the spotlight and fulfill their needs for them to feel good. How many of you feel good when those Amazon boxes arrive? I mean, the Amazon haul comes in and you feel good. It's got your name. You're like, oh, that is my name. And then you see your wife's name on all the boxes and you think, I don't feel so good anymore. No, just kidding. But you feel good when the haul comes in when you shop. They have fulfilled something. Amazon, a worldly company, has fulfilled something. And the advertisers that led you to click buy now and add to cart, they fulfilled something. How much richer can we fulfill others by finding out their needs, caring about them a fraction as much as the algorithm, to know them? Your phone probably knows you better than most of your friends, maybe even your family. It goes in the insides and outs of you. It knows exactly what you're thinking and what kind of inspirational reels that you follow, what kind of sad articles you read. It knows you. We should know other people that well and care enough to forget about ourselves and give and learn and listen and try to get lost in the stories that they tell, even if they're boring or strange or eccentric. They're just as important. They are a main character in their life, and they should be for yours as well, no matter when or how they present themselves. Matthew 22 gives us a challenge where someone was trying to test the Lord, as they often did. It said, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second, oh, wait a minute. Now, I don't want to pretend I can understand the mind of Christ, but I really think the logical conclusion here is they ask him a test question. What's the most important law? He says, I'll give it to you, to love the Lord thy God with all your heart, soul, might, strength, all the above. But let me give you an uninvited second law, which is like the first one. We like to call it the second greatest commandment, but he says the second is like unto. He's like, this is really close to that first commandment. And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. And I'm teaching my house church now. We're going through a series of looking at scripture for the first time. reading it as if we don't know anything about the word, but reading Jesus' words. Who was Jesus? Why should you believe in him? We have a lot of new believers there. I say, why? A lot of them ask me the question, I want to believe in Christianity, but I just don't know. Why is Jesus the choice? There's a lot of choices out there for me in today's world. Why is he the choice? So we're taking it through Matthew and just simply reading it contextually and expositionally. Here's how it all started with his life on earth. But the people in the word in this time, ancient days, might have had the same questions as some of my young students who are young to Christianity and said, why this guy? I've studied the prophets. I know what Elijah said. I know what Moses said. I even know what the founding father, what Abraham, what he believed in. When Jesus name drops the prophets, he's saying, this is a very serious thing. This is what I know you reference as truth. He said, all the law, which the Pharisees kind of worship the law, and all the prophets can be summed up in you loving the Lord and loving others as much as you love yourself. We've heard that verse since we were probably 3 years old in Sunday school. Why have we not gotten good enough at it? I ask myself that question all the time. Why am I not good enough at it? This is the second greatest commandment. Why am I still struggling to truly love others like I love myself? And spiritually, we just pat people on the head and say it's going to be okay and go home and think like, I've done my duty. Like I love them like I loved myself. No, you didn't. I mean, where are their Amazon boxes? I'm serious. Where are the blessings that you send yourself because you may or may not deserve them, but you think you do, and I'm sometimes in agreement. Where are those blessings as someone else? If you marked a list with tally marks, whatever, how many things did I do for myself this week? And I'm not going to judge you for them. There's a lot of things we have to do for ourselves. Is the number even similar to what we've done for others? Or is it so vastly different it's almost embarrassing? To love others like you love yourself might not be to give them the same amount of money you give yourself, to give them your salary or paycheck, but do you love and care about their well-being, even if it is sometimes a financial burden or blessing, or do you give them the dutiable service? I checked the box. I did something good this week. I gave an extra 1% tip at the restaurant because they smiled and said, God bless you. I mean, come on. Where we love others like you love yourself. Invest in them the same way, in whatever way the Lord lays on your heart. Number one, you make people a priority. Number two, spend resources on people like you would on yourself or your goals. I was talking to my wife on the way here, or on the way back from my event last night, and I said, we really don't spend a lot of money on ourselves, but we invest a lot in our goals, growth. We just recently bought a house. The Lord provided it, and we're very thankful for it. We just had to spend some money on that, and it hurt. But we don't really spend money on ourselves. We don't buy a bunch of stuff for no reason. But man, I can be convicted thinking how much I invest in goals that I'm not necessarily investing in other people. And being an evangelist and putting my ministry out there as much as I can, I think when I was younger, it was easier to kind of not be self-righteous, but think like, I've done it. I've done my service because my whole life is about other people. But sometimes you can get lost in the motion. And I think that whether you're called to full-time evangelism, you're still called being a full-time Christian. You can still have the same mindset of, I've given so much. But are we in the motions of it and the mechanics of it? Or are we in the heart of it all? And these are things that the most seasoned, the most kind, the most educated Christians can still accidentally slip into. It's just too easy. This world is constantly reminding you to make it about you. How do we remind ourselves to make it about Galatians 6:10, to make it about others? We spend our resources on people like you would on yourself or your goals. And I put in my notes, it may not be the money, but obviously that's kind of an easy one to bless someone with. But the money is a good Band-Aid, but it's not really a cure. What do you need to give of yourself to achieve someone else's goals with no credit to yourself? Because you're dying to make it in this world. No matter where you're at, even if you're retired, you're still longing for something, or if you've achieved it, then you are there. You're where you want to be. There are so many other people underfunded, whether monetarily or underfunded spiritually or underfunded emotionally, Christians who are trying to get somewhere in their life or establish some kind of peace or have a friendship or camaraderie that they do not have. And I think we can meet those needs, whether it's the small neighborhood of our family and friends, and church family, and workplace, and city, and social media. We have a reach, and we should not be taking that for granted, should I say. Also, giving of your time. That's a sacrifice sometimes. I am also, the Lord has blessed me with a couple businesses I run to try to fund my ministry. And I've realized in business, the most important thing you can have, the resource that is constantly expiring, is time. If I were to give someone an hour of my time, I would genuinely feel like I gave them some money, because I can put that to work towards ministry or making some money for the family, or I can put it to work with helping somebody else. The time is valuable. And sometimes people don't even want your money. They just want your time. They want someone to invest in them and love them in the way that they feel they need to be loved. And that's always going to somehow end up being fulfilled by the love of Christ. How do we show that to somebody? Jesus witnessed to so many people, and he did it differently. He didn't change himself or the gospel, but he did it differently. How he witnessed to Nicodemus was different than how he witnessed to the woman at the well. And I love comparing the two. Nicodemus was a smart guy, and I think he thought he knew better, but he was confounded. And Jesus confounded him with truth. You should be born again. Okay, we've heard that a lot. We're Christians post-resurrection. Nicodemus is like, what do you mean? Born again? I don't know how to do that. He gave Nicodemus what he needed, a mental question to question his intellect and then educate him. The woman at the well, I already know you have 100 husbands. That's an exaggeration. I know, but I'm still offering you living water. I think she needed acceptance. I don't think many people accepted her. I don't think she accepted herself. He met people where they were and gave them what they needed because he was all knowing, of course, but also because he loved them enough to pay attention to them. That was one of my favorite answers when I was in Bible school. Is one of the, how do I say this? One of the not so smart kids, but he was honestly right a lot of the times, answered a question when the pastor got up there for a seminar and asked our little, what was it called? It was like a 140 person classroom. So it was kind of like a seminar, but it was every single week. And he said, how was Jesus able to make it through life without committing a single sin? And the guy said, I mean, he was Jesus. Like he was God, like he didn't have to sin. Well, yes, that is the answer, but we're trying to focus on the word. There's always an answer that explains away Jesus's miracle presence. He was deity, but he also was given the opportunity to struggle, and he didn't. He set the ultimate example. Yes, he had God powers because he was God incarnate. We might not have that kind of authority, but we do have the Holy Spirit dwelling in us. We're not as perfect as the Lord, but we're being sanctified, and we have some inspiration, and we can do things. We can pay attention to people's needs, and maybe we can't read their minds like Nicodemus or the woman at the well, but we can see the needs between the lines and say, I think they need to be approached this way. It took me time to get there. I had to care about someone who might not even care about me in return, but I want to invest in them that way. I want to sacrifice, because the last point within number 2 is, what is a sacrifice? Let me give you a challenge. It's going to hurt. It hurt me when I was writing this. And I've said it before, but I was really thinking about it last night getting ready for today. I thought, what would be a sacrifice in my life to give someone else if they asked? And I was thinking, if I pulled out my backpack or wallet and I gave someone here, I blessed them, just blessed them with a $5 bill. Would that be a sacrifice? Why? I gave you something that was mine. You didn't earn it. Okay, let's change the stakes. And this is where I started sweating. What if I gave someone a $500 bonus? Would it be a sacrifice? Well, let's think about it, though. Let's think about it. Yes, any sacrifice is a giving of something. I was studying the Greek words last night. I'm not even going to try to pronounce them in front of you. I'm already learning Spanish, and we were practicing earlier today. He's helping me learn Spanish. But I don't know Greek. I can't speak it fluently. But I was studying these words, and they meant some very serious things about sacrifice. Something costly. And $500 is a significant amount of money to just give somebody. But I mean, is that the best we can do? And again, for those watching, this is not Stewardship Sunday. We've already taken the offering. This is not a message about money. But I want to use money as a perspective because that's a good gauge of how generous we are. Would it really take something from me and put me in a terrible position to give a few $100s? I don't know. I mean, maybe not. And then you start growing it and thinking, well, how much do I need to give to be a sacrifice, a costly, I believe the word, I said I wasn't going to try to say it, alisua, was what I believe the Greek word said, a costly sacrifice, or I believe it was King David says, I will not bring a sacrifice for the Lord that is not costly. You used to take the fat of the rams or the fat of the meat and sacrifice that. And you think, why were we sacrificing the fat? It was the most delicacy to have that kind of fat. In fact, even fat itself, if a person in those ancient days even had a little bit of extra weight, they were seen as wealthy. How can you even afford to eat like that? The rest of us are struggling. They sacrificed the fat because that was the flavorful part. And it smelled good. It tastes good on the grill and smells great when it's being cooked. That's what they gave away. They didn't give away the gristle. They didn't give a big old chunk of gristle and say that was a lot of my steak. They gave away the fat, the hardest part to give away. They searched for a lamb or a dove that was perfect, or a lamb without blemish. It was hard to do. Now I'm feeling convicted. What am I really sacrificing for others? Because me posting a devotional online, it's a blessing. It's not a sacrifice. Me committing to ministry is mostly a blessing and sometimes a sacrifice. Me giving to myself who wants to spend time with me, but I don't want to spend time with them and I'm too busy. We've entered into the territory of you actually gave something you didn't want to give, but you're able to do it without a begrudging heart. I believe, in my own little paraphrase, that's kind of a sacrifice. We're getting into the neighborhood of real sacrifice. So I challenge you. I told you it was going to hurt. Let's make a little list today. You're going to go to lunch probably, and we're going to sit down with your friend, family, spouse, and you're going to say, after we eat and we gorge on this food, let's take out our phone notepads and we're going to make a little list of things we have that are in excess. And remember, that's the excess stuff may or may not be the real sacrifice, but we're going to get in that territory. What do I have to give someone? And I challenge you to think of money last. That can be important. Think of that last. What valuable resource do I have to give someone? What is a need? I know that person needs a call, and I've been resisting it forever. I know that person needs a spiritual investment. I've been resisting it forever. I know that family needs forgiveness from me verbally. That friend needs to hear it from me. I'm going to start sacrificing myself and treat others the way I would like to be treated and love others the way I need to be loved and ask for the Lord's strength in doing so. This is the hard growth. This is upping the weight at the spiritual gym. It burns. It hurts. I'm sore the next day, but that's what it's going to take to grow. And if you're not willing to do it, we're all going to stand up and leave at the same time. You can leave and go do whatever you want to do, but if we're not willing to grow, take the words of the Lord, wash our eyes with the eye salve, look in the mirror and think, can I improve? I may be retired from my job, but I'm not retired from the Lord's army. I might be in a position of being comfortable with where I am in life, and that's a blessing, but I'm not comfortable with where I am with the Lord. Lastly, I'm going to close with this. Check yourself. It's time to check ourselves. How do you check yourself? How do you know what's wrong? I actually think I spoke about it last time I was here. If you don't have a mirror, you just don't know what's going on. I remember leaving one day, terribly unshaved and haggard, because I just didn't look in the mirror correctly, or we moved into our house, we didn't have a mirror yet. It was just awful. I didn't know any better. So I carried myself the whole day like I would if I was completely prepared. How am I supposed to know the difference? And everyone else can see it. And if they had told me, maybe I would have been offended, but it would have been the truth. How do you check yourself? If you do not have a spiritual routine, a mirror, a spouse or friend who's willing to tell you the hard stuff, you don't know what you look like. You don't know what's going on. But more important than that, I want us to pray together. Not yet, but I'm almost about to wrap it up. I want you to include in your prayer, because I'm going to give you guys time to do that in silence and in privacy, and I'm not going to call anybody. Ask the Lord to reveal something to you. Say, Lord, will you show me what I can't see? Whatever it is, whatever authority you've given me as a human being, because we're given some authority. I want to open up my heart, release it to you. Just talk to me. I will be obedient. It might be easy, it might be hard, but it will be a blessing. I am ready to be obedient to whatever you're going to tell me about myself that I just don't know. Has anyone ever had a classmate, a friend, coworker, and you just wish they knew what they look like? Maybe and not just physicality, but like the way they acted, their attitude, their expression. You're like, I really just wish they could see what I see, because they would immediately make improvements. We need to check ourselves lest we be tempted, and be aware of our own shortcomings as well. I ask that we'll make that our prayer. We don't want to be covertly, secretly toxic in the lives of our families, household, friends, workplace. We can have part of checking ourselves is understanding. We can have a beautiful house on a mediocre foundation. You really can. You can build up the life of a beautiful believer. You can be obedient to Christ. You can have these good works that are honoring to the Lord. Faith without works is dead. You're not dead. You got these works in the Lord, and there's still just something with the foundation not quite right. And you got to get a professional to come in there and look at it. I was talking with my friend who we're both renovating their house at the same time, and he put a new bathtub. And I hate doing bathtubs. I actually outright refused it. I've refinished 2. It was horrible. And he put a brand new bathtub and it looked perfect. I said, how did you do that? I refinished one with epoxy and this weird smelly stuff. He said, oh, I just tore it out and put in a new one. I said, you got a new one that fit? He said, yes, this house is standard. This is a so-and-so bathtub. I said, I have never bought a property that was new enough to have any kind of standard. I had the weirdest bathtubs, the weirdest sinks. This look, and I showed him my tub. He said, "Yeah, this doesn't even look normal." I said, "It's not. I don't have the luxury of tearing out the standard size and putting a new one in because whoever built the home was either too old, like the age of the home was too old, or didn't do it right the first time. So now every repair in the future takes more out of me." That can happen in our lives. And the new house that the Lord blessed us with, I think is beautiful. But there's some things that I wish the builder did a little better. And had I been there, or someone who knows even better than me, I would have said, maybe we should set this one up for success for the future. We can be that house. Great looking exterior, quality roof, good parts. But why are we not up to code? And how do we check that so that we can spring launch ourselves into the future? Sometimes we build that house incorrectly and we need to cut things at the root or at the foundation and rebuild that way. So I want to ask you, and I'm not looking for a raise of hands. I'm not looking for you to stand up physically, but I want to just you to be pensive of mind. How many of you are willing to just make this effort? This is going to happen. It's going to get better. I have decided in myself whether I'm going to take a direct example from what you said or just be analytical and decide how am I going to improve. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to put people in the priority list they probably should have always been, but it's been a little difficult for me. As we're thinking on that, I want to invite you, close your eyes, bow your heads in prayer. This is a wonderfully intimate room of good people, and no one's looking at you, staring at you, waiting to see, are they making a decision right now? Are they going to meet the Lord tonight? Like, are we going to call them out soon? This is just a time for you to get to know the Lord a little better, get to know yourself a little better, and to pray. So I'm going to ask Tyler to come on up and give us a little bit of background noise so we're not focused on sirens that pass or how heavy we're breathing or if we need to blow our nose. Like, we're just focused on the Lord. This is time with him that you get to spend, that I am forcing you to carve out some time right now because I'm not letting you go until we have a few moments of peace to talk with him. I know your life's busy. I know you guys work hard and you go through things and you're probably going through some struggles or trials that I don't know about, and you don't even have to tell me. You may not want to tell anybody. I know you're going through it, and I want to, if I could do anything to help, I'm more than willing. You can snatch me, talk to me, text me, call me, whatever you want to do. But for now, what I can do for you is carve out peace for about 3 or 4 minutes. You can talk to the Lord right now. You can make a decision to improve. You can ask for his help. You can ask for his guidance. I encourage you, ask for him to wash your eyes with eye salve, your spiritual eyes, so you can see the truth. Ask for wisdom. Make a commitment. Ask the Lord for names. Lord, give me 3 names of people who need me that I don't even know. I ask that you'll do this, but ultimately, perhaps that house that you have built, that is beautiful, because everyone I see here is a beautiful person inside and out. But perhaps the house has got the non-standard size bathtub fitting or sink fitting, or the paint's not up to code because you never met the real builder, and you never met the Lord. You never met the author and finisher of our faith, but he wants to finish your faith. He wants to be the finisher in your life. And I was asked a challenging question this past month, and thankfully I knew the answer. I did know the answer, but I still asked just to be sure. This gentleman who he said, I think everyone needs to take a moment and ask, Lord, when did I decide to trust you? Is it cultural for me? Did I just make a half-hearted decision in passing? Did I feel convicted by a very loud, incredible, impressive worship service? Or did I come to you and humble myself before you and say, if there is not an origin story to my salvation, I want it to be today. I want that to be today. I want to meet you today. I want to give myself to you today. I want to do what the Bible says in the book of Romans. You confess with your mouth the truth, the faith. You believe. You have a statement of faith with the mouth. You confess. With the heart, you believe. It's time to make that decision. Make sure that house is up to code. I'm going to stop talking and give you several moments, and then we're going to close you in a song. And after our song is over, I'm going to pray and say, God bless you, and you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to leave. Do whatever you need to do. I will make myself accessible to you. As soon as I am done, I'll put up my guitar, walk to the back of the room. You don't have to see me or shake my hand, but I will be there for you just in case you do want to. Also, I'll have an eye on you. If you want to pray together, just let me know. I want to be accessible, but I want to give you time with the Lord. So please enjoy this time.